All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Gen TV. Today, an important conversation on, you know, Gabon, as you already know, Gabon and U.S. relationship. I think it's very important to remind our viewers that today conversation is very important. Is It's very important for Gabon because keep in mind the United States, uh, you know, just suspends aid program for Gabon after the coup. And I do believe everybody is aware of what happened in Gabon, a month ago. So the United States is holding back assistance that might aid the government of Gabon following last month coup. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement released by the U.S. State Department on Tuesday. I mean, today. Uh, no, Tuesday. Today's Wednesday, I believe. Um, so the U.S. will, however, continue operational activity in Gabon, including diplomatic and consular operations supporting the U.S. citizen. So there is a little bit of background on our conversation today. I think I have a little delay in what I'm saying here. In this conversation, join me in this conversation is we have our brother from Massachusetts, Mr. Manu de Grassa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And to everybody in the Massachusetts. We also have another member of the community, Mr. Andre Boassa from North Carolina. Hello, my brother. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's just get into it. Um, as you already know, a month ago, there was the former president of Gabon was deposed by the military. Uh, and we probably, for the sake of the people that never heard that, you know, news. It's maybe important to see to remind the people that the Bongo regime was actually from father to son, and the combined years was actually what 56 in power, including
Right.
this. So they call it the PDJ Bongo regime. So today, and I believe that was today's Wednesday. Wednesday. So yesterday, Mr. Blinken, the Secretary of State, you know, just I don't know if you listen what I was saying. There was a statement saying that the U.S. suspends AIDS program for Gabon after this coup. So I'm gonna first start with Mr. Manu from Massachusetts. That maybe give us a quick statement on the situation, and then also we will go with Mr. Boassa. So when you see this situation, the statement yesterday from the State Department for something that happened a month ago, why now, and what this means for Gabon?
And again, thank you, Mr. Malik Lanzonzo, for having me on your program today. I think we need to read the press statement from Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and see that they are saying that they are pausing certain foreign assistance programs benefiting the government of Gabon. So it's not clear what programs they are pausing. And that's important to understand because there are many programs. Let me give you an example of what type of programs there are. There's a program, I think, that's implementing gold standards for management, decreasing human elephant conflict in Gabon. That's worth $278,000. Implementing gold standards, or sea turtle research and conservation in West Africa. It's $50,000. So we need to understand what programs are these. From what I've seen from the foreignassistance.gov sites, which is the foreign assistance for Gabon, the U.S. basically has like $37 million of assistance from organizations going to Gabon. So that is not a big amount of money per se. So I think that we still need to understand what programs we're talking about here, to
Absolutely.
go in deeper in terms of impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the same question will be with directed to Mr. Boasa. I guess my question is it's been a month, been 1 month, and why now? And what this is this symbolic? Um, is this symbolic suspension of this couple of these program that Mr. Manua, Mr. DeGrassa just said? Um, what this I mean, suspension to aid means to Gabon. Is this gonna impact Gabonese economy to your view?
So, uh, um, Malik, thank you so much again for having me here. I believe when it comes to suspension here, the most important thing here is not really the amount, but it is mostly the, I want to say credit, because as you know, here in US, your value depends on the conception, uh, the business industry, or even the creditor, give to you. So when the world is hearing about suspension, it means that there is a problem, and not only that. Uh, when you talk about some financial commitment the Gabonese government can have with the financial institutions. The problem here that has more damage when in terms of not only the ranking, of Gabon, as well as also the ability to go and raise money. My problem is there. It is regarding how Gabon is now seen in the global world according to the stand of US in this issue. That is, now you ask the question, why now? Everything has a process. US always stay in the back. Is US sometimes what they do is to see what others are doing, and there is also some lobbying. You don't know what is happening in the back end. If France is behind that, or anyone else who doesn't see Gabon as, doesn't see this coup as something good for the interest of maybe whoever. So it's possible that there is also a lobbying in that way, so Gabon can be punished. So this thing is serious, because if we see only the amount, we will miss the most important. It's not that I'm contradicting Manu, but that is what Gabonese government need to see.
Absolutely, but if I really get what Mr. Boasa is saying, of course that it looks like before the U.S. went ahead and suspended Gabon, it looks like there's some coordination with the African Union organization, so some of the international African organization. I think it's along with them they took these so-called not so-called suspension on some of the aid that you just mentioned, Mr. Manu. Um, Recently at the UN, we've seen the Prime Minister of Gabon, you know, came in the United States. You went to UN trying to make a case on the fact that he already understood that some sanction will come, but his case was that it, it has to be symbolic in terms of not to punish the people of Gabon. That is actually trapped into this game of politics and whatever happening, meaning that he was talking about the regime that have been very bad for the people. And now, although it was the military that deposed this guy, but number one, there was no bloodshed. Number two, um, it looks like the country is peacefully keep running, in a very peaceful way. So he was like, okay, you know what? If you really concerned about the Gabonese people, you should have been concerned about how, for many times, election was not, you know, happening in a very transparent way. And the people of Gabon have been, seeking, crying for help, and now that the military come and say enough is enough, we're not gonna play this game anymore, killing people after each election. We're just gonna depose this guy and make sure that everything, we're gonna go to the ground zero and trying to build up from that. So he said, please, if you want to put some sanction, it has to be symbolic. Based on what you just said, Mr. DeGrassa, do you think the United States took the time? Because the one of the previous question was why now? It looks like they have, observed the issue. They have do the analysis possible and came out with some, suspension, but not really the suspension that will hurt Gabon. Or maybe you think in long run they probably will increase, some of these, suspensions. What you think?
So my thought is here again, reading the press statement. This is an interim measure, inconsistent with steps taken by all these international organizations, right? So I don't believe that this will stand for long. The challenge for Gabon is to reassure that there will be a process and have a timeline. That's my belief, that when we set up a timeline, let's say that when the government of Gabon is able to say, within the next couple years or 3 years, whichever time it will take, this is when we will come to a free and fair election. I think that will also help in terms of moving these interim measures. It is also important to do what Gabonese have done, the diaspora, for a long time, which is to tell the story as it is, which is Gabon had a dictatorship for over 50 years that was supported by the international institutions that just accepted the way the country was ran by these folks. Therefore, it is our role to tell the story just like you did, which is we've been liberated. We're going towards a path of a democratic and free country, and there is, the will of the people and the military and the government to have this going. I also believe that it is important for us to really think about, the private sector. And why I bring this up is that there are exports from Gabon to the United States are more important than imports from Gabon to from the United States to Gabon. The United States has a deficit trade with Gabon. So we also need to reassure our partners, our private partners, that doing business with Gabon is still good. So therefore, they can, do the pressure and the lobbying that needs to be done towards the local authorities here in the United States. But I do believe that we have the right prime minister. I want to trust that what the military has said will be done, and that the business of a transition will not take forever, that it will happen. Strong institutions will be put in place, and everything that has been put in this press release from the Department of State will only be interim.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. And I want to go back again to Andre here, who already started to mention credit. You have to have credit in order for you to deal with international business. People, even in our own personal life. If you want to go have a loan, you got to be, legit. Your credit have to be good in order for people to give you a loan. But in this particular case of Gabon, Mr. Boissa, you think this although this may be symbolic, because when you hear your brother talking about some of the sector that suspension was made, it looks like, it's maybe not bad, but in long run, that the fact that this is openly say that U.S. suspended, some people don't even want to know in which area. They just know the U.S. have suspended Gabon, and that already is scar. It's just like a dark spot on the country. Do you think in long run, in terms of our relation, trades, and all kind of stuff, is this gonna get better, or they are just watching about what the prime minister said and probably the president? They expect maybe a 24 months into transition. But you heard the prime minister saying, you know what, uh, you know, we want to do that, but you also understand that this transition will be based on the agenda that will be put in place. It can be before 24 or even after. So, what are your take on that? Do you think maybe as the time when we going down the line, the U.S. might change their mind, say, hey, listen, we maybe have to put more pressure, or the Gabonese people, based on the history, as your brother just said, we're gonna say, okay, this is maybe the time where these people can build up a strong institutions to allow them to prosper in the future. What is your take on that?
So I believe the decision which were made was not based only regarding Gabon. Here, it is a behavior which is based on what is going on in Africa. So some parts are praised for what they are doing, some other parts are not praised. And the idea, and
What do you mean? Can you explain a little bit about that so people know what you mean by that?
okay, what I mean is this: whenever the Western countries are seeing what is happening in Africa with West Africa, like the Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and other countries, the mindset is how to see how to do to not allow this to spread in all Africa, because that is the symbol of instability, and also it's a symbol of dictatorship. So I understand that it is U.S. want to pressure uh, the government of Gabon, the new government of Gabon. That is one of the tools they use to put pressure for the return of the constitutional government. But you see, one day I got a ticket, and this ticket was a sheriff stopped me on the street, and he gave me a ticket, and in that ticket, I think the court wrote, I think the sheriff wrote reckless driving. But it was not a big deal. It was there was a sheriff. He stopped a guy, and he was outside of the road. And what happened is, I was driving, and he said, close to his car, and he said you should change the lane. And I slowed down, and the guy said, okay, you should. Whenever you see a police across the road, you need to change the line. And this law was passed last month. I said, I'm sorry. So this is what happened, Malik. This sheriff wrote reckless driving, but he hurt my record. And the people, there was two cases. I had to present, they had to check my driving record, and I didn't pass it. Why? Because reckless driving. I explained what happened. So reckless driving can mean like you were drunk, or you did,
But in case of Gabon,
in
what do you
case of,
think is?
yeah, this is how I can apply this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let us say, as Manu was saying, he said, this was it cannot impact Gabon that bad because we can still do business. And but the problem here is when it comes to the national global market, because Gabon doesn't have to live only with his the revenue from his natural resource. Gabon is living also according to the financial market. So whenever in Africa, like the African Union, Europe, US, or wherever Gabon is suspended, the market is not seeing this as a little thing which doesn't impact. Here it is, they are removing what is very, very good for the country, which is the statute in terms of the ability to go and to raise money or to you see what I mean?
Yeah,
That
absolutely,
is the catch here.
absolutely, absolutely, and I get your point. So, Mr. Manu, what can we do at this point in terms of the community, the Gabonese American community here in the United States? Because we understand that it is good to keep a good name in order to do business correctly in this international commerce, whatever is trade, But now we're in a situation where the entire planet now knows that U.S. suspended you know aid program for Gabon. Uh, Mr. Boss is saying it doesn't matter whether it was small or big, it's still not good to have that kind of reputation. But the people of Gabon, when they did this, they're full aware. I'm talking about the junta. They knew that there will be consequences on top of what they were supposed to do. But if you have to compare the consequences and now taking action like in the past, I think we can live. Look like they can live with this, whatever sanction will come in. So my question again is, what can we do as a community here in the United States in order to continue to explain that our friends should not, this should not be hard on Gabon, knowing the situation that have been, that the people of Gabon have been faced throughout the years. What can we do? What can we do as a people, as a community here?
So I think again, it's very important to understand really what's happening, right? What I was reading this great piece in the Brookings.edu, and it's called, I actually have it up, "The Broader Lessons of Gabon's Coup for Democracy in Africa." So they're looking at this from the perspective of, look, African citizens cannot continue to live in flawed electoral processes over and over again. There needs to be, some type of moral standing. It was wrong to support a government that was a dictatorship for 56 years. That's the reality. It was wrong. But yet,
But again, Mr. Manuel, and I'll let you continue
yeah. So
your
what
word.
I mean is that, so what I'm getting to is that we need to use the tools that are made available for us to tell our story. This
Right.
is about storytelling. We need to tell our story through, media that is paper, that is in news, television, on web, through the different institutions. That we need to have a moral compass. That it is something that is standard. After a coup, that there would be some sanctions. That is standard. But it is disingenuous to say that what happened in Gabon was wrong. I think that you cannot support the Bongo system, and then come today and say, what has happened in Gabon, it doesn't meet the standards of democracy. We agree, a coup is not the best solution, but in this case, this is what we can call a non-coup. It already happened in Zimbabwe when Mugabe was taken out. There was no bloodshed. The population supported the change that happened in Gabon. So it's a non-coup. It's a transition. So the Gabonese community needs to tell the story from its viewpoints and not from the viewpoint of those that have not been subject to suffering, to the dictatorship, to exile. So we need to stand up and say, your point of view is morally bankrupt. And we're standing here for an Africa that wants to do things differently. This is an opportunity to maybe increase inter-Africa business. It's an opportunity to look at these partnership that we have with these institutions that have always been biased towards Africans. So I think that we should not shrug, we should not be in fear, but we should move forward with doing the PR, telling the story from our viewpoint. It was necessary. We understand that coups are not the best way to do things, but this was a non-coup. This was a salvation moment. And Gabon and the military and the government have said that a transition will happen through the renewal of our institution. And I want to believe this. And this is what we need to say. Yes, there will be some impact, a little impact on business. But, at the end of the day, business, if it runs well, it will keep going. And those that will understand that Gabon is still open to doing business, they'll make it. And what I'm seeing now is that the rule of law for doing business in Gabon is now a standard. And some of the aid that the United States sends to Gabon is linked to the gold standards of management. So they should actually support what is happening right now in Gabon. And this is the story that we need to tell them, that they've been on the wrong side. They've been supporting a standard that is not a high bar. The high bar is being set now, and we need to tell the story.
Absolutely, we need to tell the story. And by the way, one of your fellow Gabonese is saying, "Good evening, gentlemen," and I think is from Ohio. And thank you for watching. Now, Mister Andre, uh, listen. For a long time, the Gabonese people cry out for help under the dictatorship of Bongo. 14 years in the making, nobody did anything. And when I say 14 years, we went from the first regime, each election was rigged. And you yourself, Mr. Boissa, you fought against that, the PDJ regime. And you know what it is, what we're talking about here. It's been, election after election, rigged. The international community didn't actually took some measure. There's some actual report for the European Union, you know, saying that the election in Gabon, the recent election in Gabon, or I mean the previous one, 1916 or 2016, was rigged across the board. Everybody here in the United States and Europe knew that on top of the people being killed, the election was rigged. European Union made that report. Here in the United States, Mr. Ping, that allegedly, when the election even came to the United States to make his case, there were no suspensions. There were no accountability. So the people of Gabon now are wondering what's going on. What side of the history our partners, the French, the United States, the Commonwealth, what side of the equation they really want to be, or they want to be on the side of the dictatorship that punished the people of Gabon, or they should see this as something that actually can pave the way to a new Gabon where institutions are respected, as Mr. Obama used to say, better to have strong institution than strong men. Your take on that, Mr. Boss? I know it's a lot on your plate.
No, that's fine. I mean, Manu was saying something very, very interesting here. He said there is a standard behavior when it comes to the international community. The US saw what was happening. They want to do their best for this not to continue, because if Gabon, what happened was made in the way where there was no blood, and I mean, things are in order. it will not happen maybe with another country. So they have to show their position when they stand in terms of coup. This we understand. I believe they need also to show the world that they are the master of the democracy, or the mentor who show what democracy is. We understand all of that. And now our goal is, I mean, your question is very, very important. Not only the how years after years after years election has been rigged in Gabon, but also the behavior of Bongo's family. The airplane of the presidential airplane was stopped in Benin with drugs and also a lot of cash, and the U.S. didn't say anything about that. And you have the son of Ali Bongo, who has who was a who is a drug dealer. U.S. doesn't say anything when you know that Antonio Noriega was arrested, drug related. And you see also the money laundering and how Ali Bongo managed and Omar Bongo managed money for many, many years. There was no suspension. People died, like you said, in 2016, in 2009, and years before, even with Omar Bongo. Nothing happened. We work in State Department many times, White House, Congress, UN. We were whistleblowers. Nothing happened. And now something very, very good is happened in Gabon. All Gabonese are very, very happy. Not only Gabonese, but also Africans. I don't know any country in Africa who didn't celebrate with Gabon when this coup happened. That is amazing. And that also, I mean, give, when it comes to other countries, I think this is a lesson when the other president don't have to do, what Bongo did, because they will know that if we do something wrong, this will happen. There is also the good side of this. Now, what I believe is, as Manu said, we need now to tell our story. Not only here, for example, what I can advise to people from Gabon. I mean, go to UN, the local representative. Go to European Union. Go to US Embassy. Tell the story. And I believe here in US, we need also to do something. We need to tell the story, show that what is happening in Gabon is the best thing which happened since the independence. 56 years. I mean, Gabon need at least to be praised for this act of courage. And because if it was not the case, Bongo's family could stay there even for the next 50 years. And I heard someone from Bongo who was saying, yes, Bongo need to win because we're still here for 50 years. That is, and let me finish by saying this, Malik. When you see in the country where young people cannot dream, and a lot of people lost their family members, and they were also traumatized by the regime, not only during the election, after the election, and also how those people manage the country. There was a lot of damage which will take years to fix because of this family. And the US and other parts of the world need to understand that.
Absolutely right. This has got to be the time, and the Gabonese people are responsible to make sure they tell the story, as brother Manu was saying. But understand that diplomacy and politics. as the also rules and international rules and regulations, I think it is important to remind that even though the United States that is a very is a country with so much people, with smart people, they understand the situation. It's still that a coup is not something that is welcome in the international relation or in international politics. It still is there's always like a stain on. But I suspect that people do understand what's going on. They do understand that enough was enough, and this circle of going to rig election, then people have to die because of a simple election. It was about time, and the minor, the way this guy was deposed. Again, that's a piece of art. That was something that we also have to applaud. You know, doing something in a way that nobody was armed. Even as a matter of fact, the president, the Mr. Bongo, was released from his house arrest. That again is something we never seen before. So beyond all of this criticism from our Western friends, I think they understand, but we're not just gonna sit and wait for them to react. We just have to go ahead and explain that if they do not take the rights or have that what you call the moral compass to understand that the people of Gabon are capturing this cross road where if nothing good and smart is done, then they're punishing. They think that they're not punishing the Bongos, the people filthy rich. They're punishing the people of Gabon. And the aspiration, like Mr. Boisse say, we have to give the people another. This is the time where we have to allow the people of Gabon to dream again about a bright future. Mr. Manu.
I completely agree. And and again, coming back to this question around the U.S. suspending some of their financial aid to Gabon, we just need to figure out what those programs are. Right? It would be interesting to see, like you said, are these programs going to impact the populations? Going against that interest of the people to grow. But the other thing that I like to say, and it's just my piece of advice to the new powers in Gabon, is that we've seen on television, hundreds of millions of dollars found in houses. If I have heard right, I think they said about 500 billion XAF CFAs, which is about what, $700 million. That's extraordinary. We need to go after all the money that was stolen from our country, that is probably in some of the US banks here or European banks, and shore that money back to our country. We need to be true to also the population that this could be a little bit turbulent, that these institutions, they do have some weight, but that we have the strength. History will be on our side. We are the ones that have the right moral compass to get things done. And the advice is, all this money that's being found across houses, that we should go get in the banks across the world. Let's have transparency. The authorities should have transparency in terms of where the money is and how they can utilize that as buffers for our population. Because if you can find in less than a month over $700 million in people's houses, I don't even imagine how much is out there. So Gabon, the Gabonese should be confident that even though, yes, we are going to have see our credit dinged a little bit, but we can get over this. I think that once the dates of the transition will be set up, that we
But,
will
but,
get.
but very quickly, Manu, before you finish your point, very
Yes.
quickly, can you just, because, the sister here is wondering, you said that before, if you can quickly share those programs so that they know exactly what it is, where America is actually, suspending some of this program. Can you say that very quickly and then conclude? Because we are almost out of the time. We're going to let Mr. West also say something.
Okay, so what I would advise people to do is to go to a website called foreignassistance.gov. And then from there, you can basically look up the countries. And there are a number of the programs that are being dispersed to different countries. So in Gabon, it's not sure what programs have been suspended, but programs can go from decreasing human elephant conflicts. You know what I mean? That's actually one of the biggest programs to, sea turtle research or implementing gold standards for management. So we're not sure what exactly they're suspending. They're saying that it's linked to government activity, but one of the biggest activity of the government was linked to forestry, was linked to fauna. So are they suspending these programs? So it's not clear. I don't think that they will give more details into it.
Right.
But we should stay positive. But go to the site. It's called foreignassistance.gov. You can get some information there about what's going on, or they can just go to the US Trade, ustr.gov, and it gives a little bit of information. This is more of like the trade, trade business between Gabon and the United States. And we should think positively. Yes, credit will be dinged. It's not the end of the world. We can keep moving forward. We need to tell our story from our vantage point. We
Yeah.
have the moral compass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen. I guess Mr. Boissa, you have something to say because and and again this delay again. I say, Mr. Boissa, if you can hear me,
Yeah.
just pick up from
So
where
Malik,
yeah.
not
Let me finish
only
the question real quick because this is gonna be your point and the conclusion, so we can get out of here. So
yeah,
you can pick up from what Manu left, and then wrap it up in terms of conclusion, so that we can get out of here.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Manu is right. We need to see which kind of what kind of program we are talking about. This is one, and second, we need to make assessment how long term how this can impact Gabon, and come up with some statistic and see some countries who have been where we are, how those countries were affected related to this is by telling also a story is not only telling to the government agency or government, White House uh, or the, it is also telling a story to Americans. We need Americans to bring Americans in this because a lot of them have been seeing what has been happening in Africa, but also how Western countries have been, kind of. Uh, taking advantage of Africa. So we need to tell the story to the world, not only U.S. government. So in this case, we can have like Americans, our partner, to fight for us, not only what happened. Like you said, I don't know you or Manu was saying there is a lot of resources put in Western banks, even in Middle East. So America has been seeing what have been happening for years. Remember Michael Moussa, who was the ambassador of Gabon here. He was in trouble with the Senate, American Senate. Why? Because there was money laundering and also some material which was, purchased here where Gabon should not even purchase those material. So there is a lot of things, a lot of, we need to build our case. We need to build our case and tell this story not only to the government, US agency, as well as Americans.
Absolutely. Absolutely, guys. I don't know, Manu. I suspect you want to add something real quick before we end this program.
No,
Something real quick.
I will respect you. I will respect the time of the show. I just want to thank you, for bringing us on board, sharing this. I just want to put a disclaimer. I am not an expert in financial movement institutions, but I would say that one thing that we need to look into is the bonds. So Gabon had a bond coming up in 2025. I think that we purchased it through the blue bond until like 2031. So I think we need to experts need to look at what exactly is happening around those movements, and especially around that Gabon blue bond, or ocean bond that was just set up for about $500 million just before the fall of the.
Okay, guys, we're gonna leave it out right there. 45 minutes is the time for this conversation. I want to thank Mr. Andrew Boassa from North Carolina and brother Manu de Grassa from Massachusetts. Listen, guys, it was a great pleasure to have you, and I suspect you will come back again. I will remind the audience that both of you were actually elected to be, Gabonese, representative. I mean, Gabonese in America representative or something like that. I will have a chance to, when everything will be official, to bring you back in here so that you can tell us exactly what happened and what is your responsibility going forward. Again, guys, thank you so much, and I look forward to have you another time on Again TV Plus. Bye now. Oh, all right. So that conclude our show for tonight. Like this gentleman said, nobody ignore here that the Bongo family dynastic role in the Central Africa oil producer have created widespread discontent with critics saying that the Bongo did little to share Gabon's wealth with its 2.2 million in Alpha, I suspect, million people. So it is eventually something that we understand when they say U.S. suspended aid program to Gabon. We just hope that this anything that deal with suspension has to be symbolic because this is not the right not the time for any partners to try to do something that will on the people that needed this help the most. We just hope that this suspension is actually a symbolic one, and I insist on that. But we, as a Gabonese people, both of them said we have to continue making the case to tell our friends here in the United States that that was actually the best thing that could possibly happen to the Gabonese people. Enough was enough. We couldn't no longer, the people of Gabon could no longer live in that situation. So, again, thank you guys for, you know, sticking with us during this conversation with, this gentleman from Massachusetts and North Carolina. We look forward for another conversation of this nature, but we're going to continue to see what what's gonna happen next. Okay, so thank you again, guys. For your support. Please, viewership is very important for us to continue to do this. You got to share this with your friend and brother, and family, so that we can have the chance to bring more expert. And disclaimer, just like Mother said, whatever views goes in here. And again, TV is not responsible for whoever come up here to say whatever you want to say. Just like we, if you want to hold them accountable, it's got to be personal, not again TV. All right, so let just stop right there and look forward to see you for another program on Again TV. Bye now.